Hey guys, Sonic the Hedgehog here. If you're physically or mentally retarded and someone says you can't say retarded, tell them to go fuck themselves. And if you're not physically or mentally retarded, then buy a retard pass at merch.rickybroick.com. Gotta go fast. I can't really go that fast. I'm physically retarded.
Legendary!
Remember, you have to make $246,000 in 2024 to afford the same lifestyle as your parents who made $80,000 in 1990. Until we meet again!
Take a picture of your mom and dump and text it to a random number. Be a man.
I'm going to tell you a little story, all right? Sit back, relax, and enjoy. It's called A Day in the Life of an Englishman. Now, picture this. You're in London. It costs more than you earn to live here, so you're slowly accumulating debt. You can't afford a holiday, so you're addicted to drugs just to fucking escape your life. Oh. The weather's shit, the people that live here are even shitter, and they hate each other with a passion, and you can't afford to leave. There's homeless people all over the place. The shops are boarded up because of COVID. Anyway, you wake up one morning to find out your tax is going up because Labour's in. And this is after you, Les, the cost of living crisis, energy prices, interest rates have all eaten that last little bit of extra money you had left over each month from your wage and your outgoings. So now you're proper fucked. And while you're sat there on the toilet in the morning reading tweets from the Metropolitan Police about online trolls and how they upset them, a SWAT team smashes through your bathroom window, straight past you, on the shitter, and goes into your 11-year-old son's bedroom and arrests him for shouting at a police officer. Then your sister rings you. She's recently got fired from her job as a doctor for refusing to ask biological men if they're pregnant. And she tells you that your grandma's just frozen to death because Keir Starmer gave her winter allowance to a country on the other side of the planet that's wealthier than us to help them with climate change. Oh, yeah. It's all getting a little bit much anyway. And you think, you know what I'll do? I'll nip off for a pint to relax. Maybe I'll sit in the beer garden and have a fag. But while you're doing that, you get barred because that's illegal now. So you decide, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go for a walk to clear my head. Morning. And while you're on your walk, clearing your head, you get stabbed to death. Yes, stabbed to death violently, just walking around the city. Then the Guardian plasters your face all over the news for randomly jumping on a perfectly good knife 54 times that was held by a choir boy. Then your sister's enraged by this, so she tweets about it, she gets nicked. Your son comes out of prison, all right, and he decides, I'm going to protest it because my dad's dead. But this time he shouts at a police horse, and he gets nicked for that. But the prisons are too full, so they let out Ian Huntley to put him in. Now, the mad thing about this tale is it doesn't even sound far-fetched anymore, does it? It's perfectly believable. I'll tell you why. Because it's all based on true events. Oh, this is our story. This is fucking England.
Joe Rogan is bigger than every single show at CNN combined and gets paid more than every single person at CNN combined. And he was 100% right about this thing through the entire time. Let me get this point out here.
Tell me what he was right about.
Okay, how about, you know what you just revealed last month on Pat's show about ivermectin?
Yeah.
Joe Rogan was saying that, and you were smearing him for saying that.
Yeah.
You literally said he's taking horse dewormer.
Yes.
He should be ashamed of himself. You
Yes.
pleaded with your audience to not take it.
Yes.
Then you come back around and you go, hey, Pat, you know what I just found out? Turns out this thing isn't for animals.
Drugs for animals and horse.
And people telling them to. What person? You know, you talk about like, cancel culture and who to shame. Ivermectin, a dewormer, really?
He's an asshole.
You don't have to go to hell. You're in hell. This is hell. This is hell. This is hell.
Because democracy basically means government by the people, of the people, for the people. But the people are retarded.
Then strangled them, and finally dismembered their bodies.
Right.
Then do
available.
and homelessness and all that. And now, the voice you've been waiting for.
There is a secret song at the center of the world, and its sound is like razors through flesh. I'm here to turn up the volume. I'm kind of retarded.
Sometimes it's the simplest of things that give me a chuckle, like seeing the president spend the past 2 weeks sitting on the beach in Delaware, and everybody freak out like, oh my god, who is running the country? Because this is literally all he's done since his little farewell speech at the DNC convention, and people seem to actually believe that the night that he debated Trump, he all of a sudden became a senile dipshit, instead of that was the moment the media decided to stop hiding from the public that he's a senile dipshit. Like, do you really think that at any time in the past 3.5+ years, the person who had the absolute final word in the decisions was actually this guy?
You stupid.
But alas, the weapons-grade stupidity continues, and after weeks of not doing any kind of press conferences or even coming up with an actual platform for that matter, the Harris campaign said, okay, she's gonna do a sit-down, in-depth interview with CNN.
Oh, fucking hell.
And it got reported like, oh look, see, she isn't afraid to do an interview. Of course, she had to bring along the Dickless Wonder for moral support, and that was a little bit strange, but then CNN managed to whittle it down to 20-something minutes of the least embarrassing cuts, and she still managed to look like a half-wit. And just imagine how entertaining some of the parts they kept out would be. I'd love to see all the raw footage that they shot, as I'm sure a lot of people would. A tiny bit of it was reportedly leaked. But I am unable to confirm the veracity of these reports. There was also this hilarious interaction that went kinda semi-viral of Ben Stiller getting asked about Tweedledum, and a lot of people were making fun of him because his answer was basically like, oh yeah, I support her because it's time for a change. Of course, the irony of her being in the White House administration for the past almost 4 years isn't lost on anybody, so people's visceral reaction was to just go,
There's the dumbass!
But think about it for a second, what else was he gonna say? I support her because of all the great things that she's done? Maybe he had seen this video.
What is Harris's biggest accomplishment to date as vice president?
I don't know. I don't feel comfortable doing this anymore.
She was a very good vice president.
That's an interesting question. Getting to vice president.
I have to do more research on her, honestly. I'm just glad to see a woman of color in charge for once. That's it.
I haven't followed her political career that closely.
This is a good one. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't want to do that.
So he said, well, I'm not going to fall into that trap. And apparently he still wants to continue working in Hollywood, so he has to say something positive about her. So what better than an empty trope like, oh yeah, because it's time for a change. So now everyone is very much looking forward to this Trump-Harris debate next Tuesday. And after all that shit in the Biden debate about having Trump's microphone muted so that he can't interrupt, the Harris campaign was pushing hard for that to be reversed. And the reason for this is very simple. They want for her to have this viral moment where Trump is interrupting her and she says, excuse me, I'm talking. And then all the media will get to report it as sick burn!
Sorry, dude, but I gotta call a sick burn when I see a sick burn.
Sick burn! But oh, too bad, so sad. The mics are gonna be muted again. And I've seen a lot of internet scuttlebutt about the possibility that something major happens in the next week. Something major and traumatic enough for them to actually cancel this debate. A lot of people seem to think this is a real possibility. And so do I, for that matter, because it's really hard to imagine them for the second time sending out a candidate that they know is mentally deficient to debate Trump. I mean, the last time it kinda made sense because it was a good way to get Biden to fuck right off and drop out of the race, but to do it again? And now that the convention's over and she's locked in as the candidate? Just like with Biden, the sudden revelation to the normies out there that holy shit, this guy really does have dementia.
Oh my God!
And now they're gonna do a similar revelation, only this time it'll be...
Oh my God. She's so drunk.
It's almost like they want her to fail. It is kind of hard to believe because you've got wall to wall from MSNBC to Fox News putting out these bullshit polls going, oh my goodness, look at all this headway that Kamala's making. Anyone who looks at the methodology can see that these are bullshit polls, but they keep throwing them out there trying to prop her up. So who knows what we're about to see. But either way, I'd say we're in for a pretty eventful couple of weeks ahead of us. And hopefully it's not the worst case scenario, which would obviously be... Not too long ago, we updated our secret nuclear weapons guidelines. Everything we know about the new plan is basically nothing other than preparing to fight a multi-front nuclear war. And recently the Ruskies had announced that they had also altered their guidelines for the use of tactical nuclear weapons, so that's comforting. Then in this past week we had what was reported as a fatal F-16 crash, although there have been rumors that this was actually caused by a Patriot missile that the Ukrainians shot down their own fucking jet with, which basically stems from claims made by the deputy head of the Ukrainian Parliament's Defense Committee. And considering that the military has actually not denied that it was a Patriot missile that brought down the F-16, and that Zelensky shit-canned the head of the Ukrainian Air Force, it definitely seems possible that that's what happened. But you know, really, I'm concerned about any kind of direct engagement that our military might have with the Russians at this point. Let's just say that I don't have the confidence in our military supremacy that I once did. And a big reason for that is videos like this.
Who are you? Who are we? We are that platoon.
Who are you? Who are we? We are that platoon.
Oh, that's stupid! Really stupid.
I mean, what is that bullshit? Who are you? Who are we? We are that platoon? One day you're gonna have military intelligence analysts looking at satellite photos of a battlefield and they're gonna be saying, what the hell is that little red splotchy area? Oh, it's that platoon. Because that's all that'll be left of them. And let's also take a moment for an update on the investigation into Trump almost getting Kennedy'd.
Why you bringing up old shit?
And that's basically how it's getting treated, isn't it? Although I saw this little update on Good Morning America a few days ago.
We are also learning new details on the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. The FBI investigation revealing more about the shooter's mindset and obsession with committing a violent act. Our chief Washington correspondent Jonathan Karl has the latest. John, good morning.
Good morning, Whit. The FBI has sifted through 5 years of the online activity of the 20-year-old shooter who attempted to assassinate Donald Trump. They have learned about his obsessions, including his apparent long-term desire to be a mass shooter, but nothing about why he specifically targeted Donald Trump.
Bullshit.
This is the assault-style rifle the FBI says Thomas Matthew Crooks used to try to kill former President Trump last month. The agency is sharing these photos after 6 weeks of investigating the attempted assassination, showing the gun disassembled and the backpack discovered at the scene. And for the first time, we're seeing an image of the 2 explosive devices found inside the shooter's car, and the air conditioning unit they say he used to climb onto the roof.
Take a look at what happened.
But after sifting through 5 years' worth of online activity, federal investigators have found no consistent political ideology, no evidence he was directed by a foreign entity, and no co-conspirators.
Ooh, how convenient!
And they say they have found nothing to indicate why he tried to assassinate Trump on July 13th, firing at least 8 shots and killing 50-year-old firefighter Corey Comparator.
There he is.
Instead, the FBI said the shooter had been engaged in a, quote, sustained, detailed effort to plan an attack on some event, making more than 60 searches related to Donald Trump, but also to President Biden in the month prior.
When this event was announced, the Trump rally was announced early in July, he became hyper-focused on that specific event and looked at it as a target of opportunity.
Among his searches, when is the DNC convention? When is the RNC in 2024? And how far was Oswald from Kennedy? A reference to the 1963 assassination of President John Kennedy by Lee Harvey Oswald.
What? God damn it, are you fucking with me?
I love how they made a point of telling us how one of his internet searches was how far Oswald was from Kennedy. So what, this kid was like the last motherfucker on Earth that actually still believes that Oswald killed Kennedy? The idea that this kid would search for how far away the patsy was from Kennedy before going on himself to become an Oswald-style patsy, and that might be the most ironic thing that's ever happened in the history of the world. And they're still playing stupid over the motive. Oh, well, he was doing searches on Trump and and Biden, making it seem like the only reason he took a shot at Trump's head is because he just so happened to have a rally there. That he just wanted to shoot up some big event to get attention for what? He apparently had no manifesto, so what's the point of getting attention if you don't have a reason for it? And I know I had said weeks ago that this was a story that we needed to talk about and keep talking about because they clearly want to memory hole it, but you end up reaching a certain point where until there's somebody in a position to actually be willing to properly investigate the FBI and the Secret Service, then you're really just spinning your wheels. And probably the last best hope of getting anywhere close to the bottom of this is going to be if RFK Jr. ends up becoming Attorney General. He seems like he holds a little bit of a grudge over that whole the government killing his uncle and his dad thing. So maybe, just maybe, he's got the balls to actually do something meaningful about it. Sláinte.
All I have in this world is my thoughts and my word, and I don't break them for no one. You understand? So say good night to the bad guy. 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 Come on. Come on. Look at you now.